So another thing, a lot of my channel is surrounded by real estate investing. Obviously, the entire premise of this interview with you is just a real estate success story in itself. Has your success with NXT Mortgage, even from the get-go when you're talking about, hey, I'm still, a brand new mortgage officer to, owning your own company, has that helped you when it comes to real estate investing?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you and I both come from a similar background of working a W-2 salary job and then getting our license, mortgage and real estate, to have some side income, some side hustle. And that's really what propelled us to be able to purchase our first few properties, get into the real estate investing game and start building that passive income, start building that equity in those properties. So owning the mortgage company has definitely helped me in that sense. And even just getting my mortgage license, like you don't have to own your own company to earn some extra income on the side to help invest in real estate. So I've been able to grow my real estate portfolio. I've done a handful of different deals. I mean, you know about pretty much all the deals I've done. So feel free to ask me any specific questions and I'm happy to talk about those. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, being able to build the passive income while my active income is building the mortgage company, that's been a driving factor in me being able to purchase a lot of real estate in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, so just a quick tidbit for people and for viewers out there. This is also coming from a mortgage professional as well. I used to be a high school teacher. He used to be a CPA. Make sure you consult with your local mortgage company or mortgage broker, a good friend that is a mortgage officer when it comes to looking to get qualified for a mortgage. Because, for instance, I was a high school teacher. I acquired my duplex. I then acquired my single family. I even then tried to acquire another single family. Unfortunately, you gave me the bad news that buying an $80,000 car at the time was not the smartest decision when it comes to your debt-to-income ratio. At that point is really when I decided to jump ship and go into owning my business completely. But when it comes to you and your situation, you were a CPA, you had that as your W-2 income, you were doing mortgage on the side, and then you were able to acquire some properties, but you made a point at some point to decide to switch full-time to a completely 1099 or self-employed business, which then requires you to wait some 2 years tax returns to make sure you can qualify. So for all the folks out there, what would you suggest or, advice, I guess, in terms of finding that correct time to jump ship?
Yeah, so I think everyone's obviously a little different in their path and what they're comfortable with. I know some people who just say, hey, I'm quitting my job and I'm starting this new venture, this new business, this new, being a real estate agent or being a loan officer, and they just have to wait 2 years. You better earn a lot of income in those first 2 years and then be able to do it. We had the benefit of working that other job, transitioning into it to sort of build some of that history, build our pipeline, and start getting that consistency before we decided to jump ship. Once my loan officer income was exceeding my salary income, that's when I was more comfortable with making the jump. And I realized I'm making a lot more money doing loan officer work in less time than I am doing accounting work. So during that 2-year period when I was in the transition, I had some overlap from the salary job. So it was really only about a year for me from the time I quit my W-2 job to being able to qualify for traditional mortgages again. So in that interim period, you can still invest. I mean, you can invest your money in stock market, cryptocurrencies. You could invest in non-traditional real estate investments. So that's syndications, commercial deals. You could do a flip with some hard money loans. So you can do some things that maybe not your traditional, just conventional 30-year fixed rental property.
Okay. And then also when it comes to, all the folks out there that, may start, doing mortgage on the side, they're working their full-time job, or maybe they're going to do real estate on the side, working their full-time job. When it comes to, that point of quitting your job, and then they become 1099 or self-employed, I know a lot of people out there, and you don't personally do taxes on the side, but you do own, an entire company that does taxes. And I'll kind of give you a segue here. What's a good set of advice for individuals that are, wanting to be completely self-employed, and even if it's like, for me, I did Uber before. Well, with Uber, one of the biggest things was, hey, I can deduct a ton of my expenses. So what would you say for folks out there, because you and I deal with this every single day, self-employed individuals, where you go and look at their last 2 years of tax returns, and what do you see?
Yeah, if you're trying to buy real estate and buy more properties, you need to make sure that your mortgage individual and your accounting individual are talking or on the same page, and you better not file a tax return until you've let your mortgage broker review your draft return, to make sure, see what things you're claiming on your income, make sure you're claiming all your income, what kind of expenses and deductions are you taking, and how's that going to impact your qualifying for properties in the next year, because once you file those taxes, that's what you've got for the next year. And so just having that communication between the two, because you could write off a lot of items and have a lot of expenses and still qualify for a mortgage if you've got enough income overall and not a lot of other debts. But a lot of times with self-employed people, we try to minimize our tax burden, so we write off a lot of expenses, but then you go to qualify for a mortgage, and to the underwriter, you don't make that much money because you write it all off. So it's about finding that balance. And I think if your goal is to buy more real estate and you're self-employed, you need to make sure that you're talking to your mortgage broker and your CPA in constant communication about where those numbers are at, so you don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, like you said, make sure your CPA and your mortgage broker are along the same lines in terms of conversation with where you're at. I know when I was completing my first year of self-employment, that was going to be included down the road for me to be able to qualify for future mortgages. I was having Tyler, luckily in this situation, he was a CPA and a mortgage broker at the same time. So I consulted my one individual regarding, hey, am I writing off too much? Am I writing off too little? Where I fall into that category, because we all know we don't want to pay taxes, but at the end of the day, when it comes to qualifying for mortgages, you do have to show profitability within your company if you are self-employed. If you don't, for instance, if I drove Uber for a whole year and I made $60,000 or $70,000, making, through Uber, but then I wrote off $40,000 or $50,000, that, $10,000 to $20,000 of profit is surely not going to be enough for me to qualify, as one of my 2 years on my tax returns.